This woman in the red dress, Sue Me Terry, may have committed treason for a designer handbag and a plate of sushi. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about 54-year-old Sue Me Terry, who may have committed treason against the United States for a designer handbag and a plate of sushi. Now, I am not making this up. Some are going to say, hey, ABL, you're racist. Just because she's Asian, does that mean she eats sushi? I'm not saying any of that at all. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just reading what the article says. Now, before we get to the article and a little bit more, let's back up a little bit. Now, Sue Me Terry was a former CIA analyst, and she is now accused of being a spy for South Korea. And the way they were able to get her was with designer bags and what they say, high-end sushi, dumb stuff. Now, here's a question I have before we get to anything else. How did we get a South Korean spy? Don't we protect them over there? Isn't that part of our job? The DMZ and the U.S. military, what are we doing? How do we have South Korean spies over here? What's going on? And what are you trying to find out? And you know what? This most certainly reminds me of Eric Swalwell. Remember Yum Yum?
Alleged affairs, relationships with
No,
Yum
sir.
Yum.
You don't get to say that. That's not
He had
true.
alleged relationships with Yum Yum.
And there was another incident with the guy in the military. He might have been in the Navy. I'm not really sure what branch he was in, but I think it might have been two guys in the military that were spying for either China, North Korea, South Korea. I don't even know. But there seems to be kind of an epidemic of these spies from these Asian countries. What's going on? I don't know. Now, before we get to the article about the woman here who was spying for South Korea, a little bit of irony, okay? Here's an article. I'm not sure where I'm on. Washington Free Beacon. Now, there's a columnist for Washington Post, and we know how conservative they are. I'm just being facetious. Look at this here. WAPO columnist Max Boot accused Trump figures of acting as foreign agents. Now, his wife is accused of working covertly for a foreign government. And his wife is who I showed you in the red dress, Sue Me Terry. Okay, so what it says right here, Boot's wife, former CIA analyst Sue Me Terry, is accused of secretly working for the South Korean intelligence. Funny how that works. You want to push Russia, and the Russians are, okay, you want to talk about all of that, and there was nothing found as a result of that, right, Mr. Max Boot? Nothing found as a result of that Russia kerfuffle, but here you are, your wife is now accused of spying for the South Koreans. So who's a foreign agent and who is not? Like, that's some crazy irony for you right there. Now, here is an article. This article is crazy. Look at this. Ex-CIA official doubled as secret South Korea agent in exchange for designer handbags, high-end sushi dinners, according to the federales. Now, look, if the feds said this is what's going on, you probably are pretty much toast, okay? Let's read some of this right here. A former CIA analyst with expensive taste spent more than a decade working as a secret South Korean agent. So we're talking about more than 10 years she was a spy for South Korea. In exchange for luxury handbags, designer duds, and meals at Michelin-starred restaurants, among other splurges, federal prosecutor said on Wednesday. Now, look, before we get to this piece at the top right here that I want to read, as far as how much some of this stuff costs, some are going to say this is why women shouldn't be in leadership roles. I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying people are going to say that. And it's kind of hard to fight against them when we see this constant corruption. We saw it down there in Atlanta, Fonnie Willis and the drunk lady in front of the club, and then a lady at the club that was trying to fight. And I know somebody who got locked up for something like this personally. I won't say her name. She's a good friend, but hey, it is what it is. Maybe they feel like certain people, maybe mostly women, are going to be more susceptible to doing something they shouldn't be doing, influenced by a foreign agency. You got some, really powerful people that know how to convince people to do certain things or catch them when they're vulnerable. And again, it's not just about the women, because men, Eric Swalwell, getting caught up by Fang, Yum Yum, or whatever her name is, they're the same way. They look for weak links, weak people, and then they allow them to commit crimes. And of course, the feds are going to be watching. But let's see just how much money was spent on some of these things, shall we? Sumi Terry, 54, a native of Seoul, South Korea, who now lives in Manhattan, used her position as a respected foreign policy expert and traded her access to top U.S. officials for goodies, including $3,450 Louis Vuitton handbag, a $2,845 Dolce & Gabbana coat, and high-end sushi dinners, according to court documents. We're talking about just trinkets and, living the Instagram life. She is a beautiful woman, but, at a certain point, you're going to be a whole trader just to upkeep some of your beauty standards. I mean, your husband is a Washington Post guy. I guess he has some kind of high position because he's up there writing articles about Trump. They're not giving that to the mailroom guy. And then you were a CIA analyst, so you guys weren't living poorly. So why would you do something like this? Is it about allegiance to your country of origin, or is it about trying to live the hot girl lifestyle, or a combination of both? Anyway, let's continue. All right. So it says Terry arranged a 2022 happy hour where she let a South Korean spy mingle with congressional staffers while he posed as a diplomat. According to the feds, Terry, a senior fellow for Korea Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations think tank, yikes, CFR. No surprise there. You're a spy for South Korea and you work for the CFR. We think the CFR has other countries' interests at heart more than our own, and you're giving information to South Koreans. So that kind of just fits in there. The interest of South Korea is more important than our own in the mind of this woman. She allegedly began spying for South Korea in October 2013, 5 years after she left the CIA, where she was an analyst on East Asian issues. Over the next nearly 10 years, she disclosed sensitive U.S. government information to South Korean intelligence and used her position to influence U.S. policy in favor of South Korea, all for money and luxury gifts, FBI Acting Assistant Director in Charge Christy M. Curtis said in the statement. That's crazy. For instance, Terry delivered handwritten notes about a private North Korea-related June 2022 meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken to her South Korean intelligence handler, who picked her up in a car minutes later, according to the indictment unsealed on Tuesday. That's crazy. Weeks after that, Terry hosted a happy hour at her handler's behest, where she allowed the South Korean spy to mingle with congressional staffers while posing as a diplomat, just trying to get information, trying to get them to open up and spill their guts. Yeah, that's what's going on there. Presenting herself as an independent expert. She's about to be an expat now, away from the United States. An independent expert on U.S.-Korea relations, Terry has also allegedly parroted talking points provided to her by South Korean officials in articles published in the U.S. and Korean press in recent years. Pause here. So this says that a foreign country has control over our press to a certain extent, because people that are trusted and relied upon to speak on certain issues are being paid by a foreign government to say certain things in the press. So even if the organization, let's say CNN, even if CNN themselves isn't corrupt enough to get paid to say certain things, I'm not saying they're not, but let's just say they're not that corrupt. Let's just say that. Well, you still got to take what is said on a network that's not in their control with a grain of salt, because you don't know whether the person is being paid to say a certain thing. If part of their job description says, I must say good things or else I have no job, you can't really believe too much of what you see on television, what these people tell you in politics. That's why you got to do your own independent research to get to the truth. But I digress. In exchange, Terry's handlers took her on shopping sprees, pictured in court papers, in which she picked out gifts, quote unquote, of a $2,950 Bottega Veneta handbag, not a Bottega, that's crazy, and a $3,450 Louis Vuitton handbag, the indictment alleges. Okay, so what we got? Nice restaurants right here. Terry was wined and dined by our South Korean government handlers at an upscale Greek restaurant in Manhattan. Okay, so look, when you see people on Instagram living this glamorous life, you're like, hey, you know what? I wish I could be like that. I wish I could do what they're doing. You don't know how they're doing what they're doing. You have no clue what's going on behind it. You might see her. That's a nice looking older lady, just, having a good dinner with some friends. You don't know what's really going on there. You have no idea. Never judge a book by its cover. Anyway, the South Korean officials also coasted up to Terry by buying her dinner at upscale seafood, sushi, and Greek restaurants in Manhattan and D.C., including several hotspots with Michelin stars. A South Korean spy also bought Terry the Dolce & Gabbana coat from a Chevy Chase, Maryland store in November 2019, which is right there by D.C., charging it to his credit card and not paying sales tax because he had diplomatic status. That's crazy. Bucking on the sales tax is nuts. But hey, man, you got the power to do it. You got the power to buy the coat, the handbag, the sushi, and give it to this woman to have her influence not only U.S. policy decisions, but also the press's opinion on certain things, which will also influence the general public. So, yeah, treason, big rocks, little rocks, Gitmo. I don't know where you got to go, but you got to get up out of here. As I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the people out there that can be easily bought and sold. You guys are cancer upon us. You really are. Where's your integrity? Where's your values? Are you really an American? Shout out to the immigrants that come over here and they really embrace this country and they love this country. Shout out to you guys. I really, really appreciate y'all. And I'm not just trying to pander to you. I'm being serious. But people like this, what are they doing? They're just over here to take advantage of the country, to empower their country of origin, and they don't love where they are. That appears to be what's happening, and it's very unfortunate, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on the whole situation? Do you think that this woman should go to the penitentiary, big rocks to little rocks, for selling out our country, for designer bags and high-end sushi? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I see a pattern here, most certainly. A lot of the Asian countries sending spies over here. For what reason? I mean, there's always reasons to spy on Americans. They had a spy balloon in the air. They didn't do anything about that. You got people in the government compromised, like Eric Swalwell and this woman working with the CIA. And my question would be, how many more Sue Me Terrys and Eric Swalwells are there in the government, on the federal level, local level? How many of them are there? How many holes do we have in our security as a nation? Pretty concerning. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.